competing on that show?
You know, Celebrity Apprentice, it was a tough show. Have you all seen Celebrity Apprentice?
Yes.
Okay. It's a good way to get beaten up. And when you do a show like that, your self-esteem's on the wall, so apparently nobody likes to get fired. I've had good stories because every time I was in the boardroom, all the male actors are afraid of me because they know that I'm going to come out of my mouth with the real truth. I'll never forget one time, one morning, I think we had a film like 5 in the morning, and the camera to your face after you finish the makeup. And I remember I was sitting in the car, I'm not going to say one of the actors' name. As we were driving the van, his toupee popped off his head. It was on the street, and they were filming, and it wasn't Donald Trump. But I can tell you a funny story, but that was the funny thing. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning, so it was so bad for the actor because the toupee's on the street, and you could see all the pins sticking out and trying to find the toupee. I felt so bad for him.
Thank you.
What is your favorite episode that you made in The Hulk?
Of the Hulk? It's called King of the Beach. I had a chance to play myself with the Hulk on the show, my first acting role. So I had a chance, you know, to go in and out of the makeup. And it was the highest rated show of 5 seasons, the episode. It was a lot of fun because it showed the guy, he wanted to raise money for competition, and then apparently dealing with the mafia and the Hulk was involved. It was a great show because they did split screen. I had a lot of fun doing that show, King of the Beach.
All right, thanks.
Hello. Regarding the Marvel movies, would you have preferred the Hulk played by a real person rather than the CG they did use?
Would you rather the Hulk in the new movies be CGI or a real person?
I think it should be real because what's happening, it bothered me that Disney kind of put on a Hulk down more of a comedy stretch. You see, I wanted to do the motion capture when they first had the first CGI, but the director Ang Lee decided to do it himself. And too cartoonish. If they would have captured the motion capture of my body, it would have been much more efficient. I don't think you ever see a human Hulk again because of the CGI, everything, especially Universal Television. They don't get involved in the TV rights, so now Marvel basically owns the rights of the Hulk, so they favor the CGI fashion.
Thank you.
Yeah, I heard that they were going to continue the Hulk because after the death of the Incredible Hulk, that they were going to try and bring the Hulk back.
Do you know if they, after the death of the Incredible Hulk movie, did you know if they were ever going to bring back that Hulk?
Yes, we were going to. It could be an episode. It could be a movie that we call The Revenge of the Hulk. Because they find one blood cell, they bring him back to life, but unfortunately Bill got sick and he died. At the time we were filming with New World Pictures, so that kind of put everything in limbo. So then it came back with, you know, with the CGI. But that would have been the first time you see The Revenge of the Hulk. You see the Hulk with David Bannon's brain. For the first time, you see the Hulk almost talking more of a mannerism of a human instead of being a prehistoric creature.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any characters or comic book characters you wish you would have been able to have on the show with you?
Any characters you wish were on the show with you? Any comic book characters you wish were on the Incredible Hulk with you?
That's a good question because we wanted to have more. You see, at the time, New World Pictures wanted to experiment having Thor and Daredevil on the Hulk movie of the week for the rating. One time we were at the point almost filming She-Hulk. But eventually it wasn't picked up by CBS. We were going to fly to, I think, the Bahamas to shoot She-Hulk. I thought it was great because we found a great person to play She-Hulk. But it didn't come off well because I think it wasn't interesting enough to the network. So today would be a different situation.
Thank you.
Hey, I just wanted to ask you a quick question with all those battles with Arnold and Franco. How you felt during those Mr. Olympias with Arnold winning all that time, and if you guys had a friendly relationship at all?
During the Mr. Olympia competitions, if you had a good relationship with Schwarzenegger.
By the way, too bad we can't bring the microphone over here because I'm getting a stiff neck, and the poor people down there. Anyway, pumping iron was great. At the time, Arnold and I, we were like rival because, of course, he was my idol. I wanted to defeat him. But I was very happy to be on stage with him because of the fact that he was the best at the time. And it was the two of us, and still today, the two of us when it comes to the public, the mainstream. He's a great competitor, and I see him a lot of times today. You know, he's still working out, he's still here with us. But if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be what I am in bodybuilding, because he was the first tall man to break the barrier that you could be over 6 feet and still compete. So that gave me a lot of hope, because he opened a lot of doors for me to be successful. Because at the time when he came on the scene, I don't know if you know this, when he did Pumping Iron, they could not put him on the cover. They used another bodybuilder because they thought that he was funny looking, he had a German name, he had space between his teeth, they thought he was more like a freak. That's the time when we did Pumping Iron, because we wanted to be accepted as a champion, not as a freak at the time, because the public didn't know what bodybuilding was. But then when you did the docudrama Pumping Iron, that changed everything, because the beauty about the competition, you see the dark horse myself, and you see the arrogant, outgoing bodybuilder. That made the movie, the chemistry fantastic. But even till today, even when I watch it, I still get inspired. It was a great film, never be duplicated, because we're talking about 43 years ago.
Hi, my name is Amy. Being that you grew up with a hearing loss, same with myself, I'm curious what advice.
Well, you're doing pretty good at it.
Say it again, please.
You're speaking pretty well.
Thank you. What I wanted to ask you is, what advice would you give to deaf children growing up and the struggle that you faced before you went into Hollywood and stuff like that?
Yeah, what advice would you give to deaf children today, growing up with obstacles and making it into Hollywood?
My best advice to give to deaf children is to take action to fight harder than the average person, because in the deaf community, I don't know if you know, there's a high alcoholic and crime rate, because a lot of deaf kids, especially young girls, sometimes they deal with, especially when it comes to broken families, we deal with molestation and rejection and everything, because I do a lot of speaking for deaf people, but I think it's important they openly communicate, because they're no different than anyone else. Because like myself growing up, I was rejected. I was considered like an outcast, because it was hard for me to have friendship with other people, because, you know, my speech and my hearing, though I had friends of mine, people I knew, didn't want to be friends with me because they're afraid that their friends would think that he should be friends with me, they think something wrong with him. So I dealt with a lot of rejection. But when I talk to deaf kids, especially now, because we have social media, which is fantastic today, they can communicate with the iPhone, social media. It's not like a hidden, introverted world the way I grew up. Because at the time I grew up when I was young, it's hard to talk on the telephone. But now with the iPhone, you know, with the communication, it's great. And the most important thing I could say to a deaf person is don't feel sorry for yourself. Take action and just work harder than the average person, because no one's going to give you what you want. You have to give it to yourself, or else taking action.
Hi, Lou.
Hi, Bethany.
I just have a quick question for you.
Okay.
Is Louis single?
Yeah. Anyway, I can tell you a funny story. This is a daughter of a friend of mine. Their parents here, they came from Ohio. And I had a competition back last November, and I became a minister, and I married these two at my competition. And say hi to Kim and Angie, because in life, I like to do different things. So it was funny when we had this wedding, so I wrote the vows and everything. So after the wedding, it was a beautiful wedding, the reception. So after the wedding was completed, he stands there with his tuxedo, his name was Kim, and he just ripped his shirt, wow! Just like the Incredible Hulk, ripping his clothes off. I mean, I've never seen it before at the end of a wedding, ripping his shirt. It was great, such a great experience. And,
Really?
yeah. Thank God they're still married.
Clearly, I dropped the ball in my own way after hearing about that, so.
I had two questions. If any of the superhero movie businesses came to you, what superhero would you want to play?
Play Superman.
Superman? And then, if you could pick one superpower to have, what would it be?
To read people's minds.
Thank you.
Yeah, separate people.
Did they offer you a role of Conan the Barbarian before Arnie Schwarzenegger? Were you ever offered the role of Conan before Arnold?
They talked to me about being Conan and with Arnold, but then at the same time I was filming the Hulk series. There was a schedule conflict. You know, I gotta tell you a funny story. I always tell this when I travel. When I was training for the Mr. Universe competition, I was living in Brooklyn, New York. At the time, I was driving a Volkswagen, the green Volkswagen. Everybody thought that when I drove the Volkswagen, I'd take the front seat, I'd sit in the back seat. So this was around, I was saying, the end of September, and not easily getting a tan in New York. So I decided to go to the beach. I had to get the suntan because the competition was like 2 weeks later. I remember driving my Volkswagen to the beach, looking for a parking spot. I can't find a spot. I keep driving around and go around the block 3 or 4 times. And I couldn't afford to get a parking ticket. So suddenly I stumble, I come upon this small little car, like a Datsun, it's a little bigger than the Volkswagen. So I get out the car, I'm looking both ways, nobody around. So I go front, I park my Volkswagen, about 2 cars down. I go front of this car, I literally lift the front of the car about a foot towards the middle of the street. Then I went back of the car, I did the same thing to the car within the middle of the street, one by one, front, back. Then I pulled my Volkswagen right into the spot. Then this fat, big guy with a rabbi comes running up and starts screaming at me. You moved my car, screaming, yelling at me. And I'm looking at the watch, I want to get a suntan. At the same time, I hear the siren, black and white, police car come around. The light flashes, the officer gets out of the car. I'm standing there, this guy's standing next to me with the arm on his head, screaming, foaming out of his mouth, screaming. And the officer's looking at the two. This gentleman that was yelling at me got a ticket for double parking. He got a second ticket for disturbing the peace. And he had a third ticket for assaulting a police officer. And guess what? I got my suntan. But I can tell you a funny story. I always like to share this story because back then, when I was 21, 22, I was very strong, working out with weights. So for fun, I would just lift my Volkswagen. I would just lift the front and the back. I could literally pick the car off the street. So sometimes it became necessary. I had a chance to use my strength in this situation, but I don't recommend anybody else to do it. It was a great experience because, you know, I felt bad for the guy getting a ticket, but I'll tell you, I had to get that suntan the worst way.
All right, we got time for one last question. Go ahead.
How long did it take to put the Hulk makeup on?
The makeup took about 3 or 3.5 hours to put on. I was the first one on the set and the last one to leave. Sometimes I had to get made up like 12 to 14 hours a day to be retouched. Because when you get made up, they had to put the appliances on my face, the nose and forehead piece. They had to use like spear gun glue. Then they grease makeup. Then they powder it down. That would take like an hour and a half. Then another crew comes in, they apply the body makeup. Back then we didn't have to spray. So it was like a ball of clay. They were spraying, just rubbing it, like 4 coats. I would just stand there. Then eventually, I put my, I like a green underwear. I would stand there being crucified for about 3 hours. Then I put the jeans on, then another crew comes in and put the eye, the wig, and teeth. So one night, about the second season, it was 2 o'clock in the morning. I was tired, and I was exhausted. I finished shooting, and I said to the makeup person, I'm driving home the way I am. I'm not taking the makeup off. I said, go home. So I get in my car, I'm driving home, 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the freeway, nice and quiet. Suddenly there was an SUV next to me driving. The guy turns and goes, holy! He starts screaming, it's the Incredible Hulk! And boom, the SUV smacked into a bus. And I stand there so petrified, thinking to myself, gee, the 2:30 in the morning, he smacks the car, it's almost completely total, and I'm here with the full makeup on, with the teeth and eyes. How do I explain this? So I turned to the left and right, I hope I would see a police vehicle. When I made it home that night, it was like 3 in the morning. I would never do such a thing. It was funny, you can see the way I'm talking about it. It's so emotional because it was such a drama, a traumatic event. But I don't know what happened to that guy. I don't know if he was dead, he was in the hospital.
Now that's the Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it.